Alright guys, here to talk about Season 2, Episode 21 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Becoming, Part 1.
Part 1 of 2 of Season 2 of this is the end of the season.
Indeed, we're rounding it out. Things are coming to a completion here, where we've
this
now
episode
skipped
sucks.
over the jumpy bits.
Yeah,
well, I'd say it is leading us to where we have to be. So, like, things are coming to an end. We've found the floppy disk. We know how to give Angel back his soul.
We did.
And we've also built on some extra things. So aside from just the natural coming to the head of the season we've got our previous Slayer Part 2 coming back. We've got Kendra up in the
You might say we tied up some loose ends because they were like, wait a minute, we can't keep making this. We've been approved for more seasons. This is going to be weird. They're going to keep asking, why don't they bring in Kendra? We have to take care of this. And so they've murdered her.
They brought her in.
Murdered her mercilessly here.
Yeah, and again, it's this thing where you're killing off characters that, like, and not that Kendra had the same meaning to us as Miss Calendar did, but you're killing them off in a way that, like, is almost like insulting to them.
Almost? What do you mean?
Well,
it's very insulting. Is
you
what I'm
have
trying
the
to say.
most
I agree with
delicious, savory Slayer blood, and Drusilla doesn't even drink upon it. She just slashes her throat and walks away. And I was like, okay. And you also think
Drusilla is racist and only wants certain people's blood.
I remember when I first saw this episode, like my initial thoughts were, I'm like, oh, okay, so Angel sacrificed random faceless dude, gets like the blood on his hands, drinks of him, whatever, goes to pull the sword out, can't do it. He finds, they find this demon.
It's a whole fucking
in
thing.
stone.
It's
has like a magic sword through his heart. And he's gonna pull it out and bring about hell on earth.
It's the exact same fucking thing as the last two times, where it's like, oh, once I do this dumb thing, all of you are doomed.
But my thought was, the first time I watched it, oh, obviously that person wasn't, like, the blood wasn't powerful enough. It didn't film enough. And like when he says, this is a trick, we knew you'd come. It was never about you. You're like, oh shit, what's there? Do they even know she's there? What's the plan? Oh, I wasn't thinking, oh, they're gonna kidnap Giles. They need someone who can read. I was thinking...
Is that what they did?
Well,
that's so much work.
That's what you now are led to believe. They kidnapped Giles.
Yeah, I'm led to believe that
he was the one. Well, the only thing Giles had this whole episode in any relation to that whole thing was trying to read the box and not getting to.
Right. So there's probably instructions on the box.
One would assume.
Which they tore open. It's Christmas morning. They're in their fervor. They didn't even read the box. And now they're like, how do I work the toy? Yes.
But so I was thinking, oh, they're gonna kill her if they're gonna kill her at all, and they're gonna use Slayer blood, or they need, like, virgin blood. They're gonna kill Willow, or like something. It took me a whole 12 minutes. I'm like, oh, that wasn't the way I thought it was gonna go down.
No, yeah. And it was very. I've already said I did not like this episode.
I'm aware.
I'm sorry. Do you disagree? Do you think this is, like, fine or good
or
normal?
I think any episodes with flashbacks have this potential of being this real hit or miss thing. And while I think it's nice to know these things, I think a lot of this could have been peppered in much earlier in the season. I don't know that it had to be in the very ending here.
I feel like they crammed in so much. It feels so rushed and weird. I was like, the whole time I'm like, no, get out of here. And, like, okay, so I really have a, like retcons are okay when they serve a greater purpose, and maybe that's still pending. But the idea that, like, dirty homeless Angel was watching Buffy, as the timeline from movie Buffy would have crossed over, and we get some other fuck to be her like old watcher and all this bullshit.
Who's the granddad from Grounded for Life? I was like, I can't take that seriously at all. That's fantastic.
I forget where I knew him from, but I was like, this Wilford Brimley ass motherfucker, get out of here. I don't want you as the thing. It was like so much is going on here. There's so much.
It hypes the pedophile angle up so much harder.
Right?
And you're like, wait a minute. He was looking at her? Wait a minute. He was into it? Wait a minute. What?
Her. Yeah, and, like, watching her crying because her parents are getting divorced or some shit. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
I have to take care of her.
And this is all in the same episode as all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like, at first I was on board like you. Oh, flashbacks. Oh, we get to see. And we get to see him become a vampire. And she's like, get up in these titties. And he's, like, suckling the blood. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting, it's kind of metaphorical. That's cool. And then we have, like, him getting cursed. And I'm like, word, that's cool. But yes, then once he's hanging out with a Beastie Boy or somebody, some fucking people like, good old dirty water dog, motherfuckers, let's hang. I'm like, what is happening? This is awful.
That guy gets, like, for a guy that takes over the monologue when it opens, you're like, that guy didn't get set up or payoff. I'm like, what the hell is that? It does feel very, and I'm like, Whistler, what the fuck?
Oh god, yes, because what is the timeline? Isn't this already with Blade's Whistler, or even, I guess, the
comic for sure, yeah.
It's so dumb. I was just like, what the fuck are we watching? This show has gone downhill. I don't think it's gonna last. It's gonna be canceled by the next season.
There's definitely, I totally feel you on this. It's getting us to the next chapter of this thing, and like
we have to get through this.
Kinda.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's definitely unfortunate things here, and each of these things could have been their own episode. You could have a whole episode of Angel in 1776, or the fuck year it was, like him speaking Irish and doing his thing.
Oh God! Yes.
I'm like, okay, that could have been like its own thing, and certainly not the same episode that he also gets cursed, because that also should have more unpacking. We start off with him running towards the gypsy encampment, and you're like, wait a minute, was he running there to kill them? Did he know he was going to be cursed?
No, he's being sucked there by the curse.
That's such.
Listen,
that's such like I have 2.5 minutes to deliver this whole thing. Like, let me just do it. And I don't even think they gave him 2.5 minutes, honestly.
But we had episodes where like stuff came up with Drew, and we had episodes where the stuff came up with the curse, and we had episodes where stuff came up with like Darla and like who made him and stuff like that. And yes, I know they didn't film any of these flashbacks yet, but it still is kind of like fuck. Like, why is it structured this way? This show's structure I've been hyping. Like, oh, it's like perfectly like everything's right in like the right place. And now we go Creatures from the Black Lagoon into this shit, and the second half will probably save it. I'm not saying it's not going to save it.
In the future of the show, there are amazing flashback sequences that like I do like when they show the olden time stuff, and some of that's really great. But
he looked really good and sounded good, and everything worked in the flashback. Her too, Drew. The actress that plays Drew, I was like, this is awesome.
Well, she was playing high schoolers for like ever. Like I remember her like Bad Girls of Something High or whatever. I'm being like, wait, what the hell year was that made? Wait, what? She's a high schooler in that. And like, even still, through her things in Rambo and like Dexter.
Oh,
she's aged
Rita.
Well.
I meant Drew. I was like, she's.
Oh, Drew. Yeah.
Rita's Rita from Dexter. I call her that. She has a name, I think. Whatever. Yes. No, but it was nice to see her again. It feels like this victory lap, this whole thing, but it's so packed with shit that I was just like, what are we watching? I hate this. Please get to the point.
It's dense.
It seems like now
to
we're
almost
we're
a point of not a lot. Like, it's weird, like to say that it's so dense to not have a whole lot happen,
right?
Because you're bombarded with not like you can't do too much in any one thing because so much is happening.
Yeah.
But again, I'm okay with that in a 2-part episode.
I know.
If it were a standalone, like if it would have ended with a 2-minute sum up, I've been like, what the fuck? It would have been the worst.
Where they just like take care of the sword.
She like shatters the thing or something.
Like, happens. Yes.
So it's finals week. That's how we open up. We realize that.
Yeah.
That affects us all differently.
Stressful time. For our heroes.
It's like it's always fun for me when I hear people say like, when am I ever going to use this? Because 99% of the time you're never going to use any of that shit ever. Yeah. And like, especially if you're literally going to have a very difficult time ever going into a profession because you're a fucking slayer. I'm like, I don't know how much importance I would put on these things. I understand they would stress you out with your family life, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. More pressure from Snyder, who's already a fucking dick and wants to kick you out of school for like literally no reason. Like, I get that stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, the world could end at any time. Like, shift your priorities and don't even think about school.
And I've talked before about how, like, now watching the show versus watching it, like, whatever, 20 years ago? I think it was 20 years ago. Ish, 17 years ago. Like, I've changed.
Well, no, 98 is 2021.
Well, I don't know if I watched it, like, on its release or in, like, whatever. My point is, I've changed, my life has changed, so now all the, like, you're grounded, Missy. I'm like, fucking, stop. Please, let's just keep with the, and I care more about the relationships and, like, the growing, changing of the different characters.
And we have that in this episode. So, Oz is back. We haven't seen Oz in a minute.
Briefly.
Willow's lapped up.
Fucking teasing me. Yes, but I like I like the public displays of affection thing, and Willow being cute and all that stuff. Yes.
Even get some from Xander and Cordy. They're acting the cute couple and doing their thing. And of course, this pisses off Snyder. He's like, no public displays of affection. We're in class. The lunchroom.
Yeah, she calls him out, which I like, because where they teach lunch, and he's like, Missy, like, I don't know what's going on with Snyder. Whatever, we'll figure that out later.
Yeah, Star Trek stuff. You wouldn't understand.
He's busy with Star Trek.
But so in this episode, when we have the realization that we potentially could reinstill a soul into Angel,
per the floppy,
not the whole group is taking us in the same direction. Yes. And this is where Xander catches some of his hate, and like, I'm not gonna say he's wrong here, and it does divide the group. It's pretty much just Kendra and Xander versus everybody else, where it's like Camp A of like, give him back his soul. Kill this murderous dog.
Kendra, who was not there, and says, I agree with Xander. And you're like, fuck.
Well, she also, she has like a crush on Xander, so.
She recognizes his male authority over
Game
her.
recognized game.
No, like, I don't hate Xander because like they're making him say this in the script.
Of course,
it isn't like it's his fault. But no, like this sucks. This is not like good. Even like the way he's handling it is kind of bad because he's like approached other things very differently. But like in moments like this, they just have to be like, you're the one that has to be like, oh, we have to have an argument, so you have to be on this side. This happens all the time on
if
shows,
you think about, if you like put yourself in that person's shoes, like it's hard to say like that they're wrong too.
Right,
it's like
exactly.
that, like like no, this is a murderer still, and at any point someone could take the soul back out of him. He could have sex, he could be happy, whatever, and then we have another murder on our hand. We lost one of our core of the group because of this person. They're a liability to say the least.
If he had said, so that's why I feel like it draws hate, because he's just like, fuck that guy. I don't like his face. Whereas if he was saying like, Buffy, like, what's your game plan here? Are you just gonna watch TV together with him? You can't ever consummate because it's just gonna happen again.
And
right?
my theory was that it was not even the sex necessarily. It was the waking up, being so happy with the person.
Listen,
so like, yes, consummation
whatever.
certainly makes most people happy.
That's how Xander would approach it.
His point was verbatim.
Xander.
You just are you ready to forget that Miss Calendar died just to have your boyfriend back, and it's like
but she can't
just
even
to bring right back into the same
she
mode.
can't even have her boyfriend back.
No,
right?
shouldn't,
because no matter what happens, right? He's eventually going to be happy with her, or else why are you doing it, right?
Yeah.
So like, if he was being logical, but it seems like he's just being like no, and being like weird about it, which is why I think people would hate.
And that's realistic too. Where like in that moment, because I'm not angry and full of rage, I'm able to think about this rationally. He at the moment is not, and not that he was this big like Miss Calendar was my favorite, but like
I love computer class.
Angel's been giving him shit constantly, and it's hard to separate Angel from Angelus, especially when they're like the same dude.
Oh god.
And you already didn't like Angel.
Yes, and people are not used to this idea of like the guy
split personality.
Yeah, like the guy who I saw do this to me is actually good though. It's like no. Yes. No, I get it. I did think that that group combo goes in like an awkward direction, right? It gets very heated and weird. Giles is like, "You little son of a bitch," and is gonna like shut Xander or something. Like, what the fuck? Yes.
Earlier, I was saying I think it's a mistake that they keep using the library. And again, had they did this in Giles's house, they could not have gotten surprise attacked.
I know.
They, in fact, could have sent Kendra with Buffy, and they could have easily just held Angel down until the thing was done. Like,
Wait, how did Angel get into Giles' house to put Miss Calendar there?
He was invited in at the time. He had just turned into Angelus. He was already invited in.
Oh, he'd been in there previously? Okay. I didn't realize he had been to Giles' house.
That was the day, like, Giles goes, all right, and I'll steal my house later tonight. And then, like, he gets back, and she's already dead.
Well, yeah, but I didn't realize Angel was alive. I guess that makes sense. But yes, they must have just done the sage burning, words for all the houses, or at least they could have. But sure.
Well, that was the same day they were doing them.
Well, we saw them do Buffy's. I didn't see anything else.
Yeah, they did Buffy's, they did Willow's, they did Cordelia's Car, and he was going home to do his, and she was dead there.
Neat.
Not that neat, kind of sad.
Snuck in just in time. But yes, no, they're in the library. They get attacked in the library.
Yeah, interrupting the ritual.
When she fucking is like, no, you stay here. I'm going to go. I like rolled my eyes. I'm like, whatever. And I actually like how Angel was like, you keep falling for it. And like yells and I'm like,
right out.
Yes, good to like, lampshade it because fuck.
He is her soft spot. And like, I think it's interesting, like they took the fight so hard to them. Like in other situations, it seems like the random lackeys can't really do much. But in this one, they were all hands on deck. They were surprised. I'll give them that.
They felt
and they broke Xander's like arm seemingly like very quickly.
They crushed Willow under under a stack.
Under a stack of knowledge.
I was like, damn, like that's a metaphor. She was crushed by all the knowledge. No, like, yes, they go very hard. Other fights have seemed like slapstick and shit. And this was like literally, they're winning all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Which is more shit. Then Drew comes in, and I kind of hate this. Because
that she uses Jedi mind trick on her?
No, that part's great. But like before that, she's like, come on, they like fight. And I'm like, Drew is like the witch. She's like unreliable mentally and like acts all weird, sees the future, is like whatever scattered and like persnickety and stuff like that. The idea of her like and like doing fucking shit, I'm like,
she's still like a 200-year-old vampire.
I hate it.
She's got a good amount of practice.
No, she can do stuff, but I hate it. I want her to be. I want them to fit like the roles that they're supposed to.
The
fit.
things that I hate are like we have to assume that Angel drove across the country because he was in New York. He drove to California in a car with just black painted windows.
Yeah, and never like combed his hair the whole time. It's great. Yes.
Never crashed into anyone the whole time.
That's even dumber. Yes, because why is he in New York in the beginning? Like what value is that? Just put it in it. Well, I guess I know for long-term reasons, but like why just put him in like downtown L.A. and have a dude there, being like, I like hot dogs.
What are the long-term reasons?
Doesn't he go to New York for his spin-off show?
No, they're in Los Angeles.
He's still in. Oh, okay. Well, then even worse. No, I thought that I don't know where Angel takes place. I figured. It must take place in New York because he's got like a network of demons there already.
No.
So this is a completely isolated incident with this hot dog muncher?
Yeah.
Does this ever... All right, we'll see if this ever comes up again. Sounds weird, though.
I can't remember, but I think he's in the next episode, too.
I would hope. Otherwise, what are we doing?
I think so. Did you watch any of Angel?
Yes.
Did you watch the first season? There's a character, Doyle, and this Whistler character was going to be that character, but he didn't sign on for the Angel show, so he was replaced.
Sure.
So I think literally we only see him in like these 2 episodes, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have made more sense. I don't know if they were playing the spin-off already, but to have that be like the beginning, like you're saying, of that. So that would have been even weirder.
So we get more of Spike, like, oh, gotta get back in my wheelchair. Can't let anyone know I'm crippled thing.
This is driving me crazy, because at this point, I don't even know why he's hiding it anymore.
Hey, you gotta reveal at the right time.
I get it, Machiavellian, techniques or some shit, but it's very goofy to see him like scrambling back into it.
Sure.
And we have one more episode where he's gonna stand up and Angel's gonna be like, "What?" And it's gonna be some fucking stupid thing. I hate this show now.
I love when Spike goes like, "Someone isn't worthy," when he can't do it. That might be my best line of the episode.
Yeah, his peanut gallery stuff's pretty good, right? When he's he's just seething in his chair the whole time. It's nice.
Xander has one where he's like, "Who cares?" And Buffy's like, "I care." Like, is that so? Like, just how he's, is that so?
Is that so?
I think one of the weirdest things is the message. So like Angel sends a vampire to the school to deliver a message. Now a vampire just showed up at the school in daylight, walks in, delivers a message, unrobes, burns to dust.
Bursts into flames.
And I'm like, okay, how do you explain that in universe? Because like the teacher saw it, a full thing of class saw it.
How about we don't even try? What the fuck? Yeah, at that point I was like, is it all a dream? Like, what the fuck is happening?
How do you convince someone to do that too? Like, hey, you just go walk yourself to death.
Magic.
Because they don't have that, like the master's not around anymore. They're not like the acolytes. Yeah. You don't have these like, I will die for you, I'm the religious vampire, blah. These are just like people he like bit, like.
Yeah.
Like, do they not know how it works? Do they not know they'll turn like, oh, I'll just tell this idiot, go there, take your robe off. It'll be real intimidating.
They're very devoted, end of the world.
I guess.
I mean, if we have to guess something, it can be Drew's mind control abilities or something
Maybe.
like that.
I don't know if that works on vampires.
Who knows?
Yeah.
It must, because what the fuck's happening?
Much of anything ever.
No, and this is, it just feels like more, it did feel, because so much is crammed in there, it feels so weird. So when that happens, by then I was already like off. I'm already like, nope, fuck, what's happening? What's going on here? Why are you doing it like this? And they're only doing it like that because earlier, Buffy's trying to get a message to Angel by beating people up, and now it's like, he's like, haha, I will see your whatever method of messaging and raise you.
Well, your message was by killing my vampires. Yeah. My message is by killing my vampires.
Some would say to use the phone, but I don't fuck with that.
Yeah. I always think it's humorous to me, like how often they destroy the library, and I'm like, what must the budget to refund building the library? How do you explain all that stuff? And then this one, the ultimate, what the fuck are you gonna explain? There's Buffy found at the end over the body of Kendra, potentially blood in her hands because she might have done this and that, and there's a cop just like freeze.
I felt for a pulse.
And like,
off-camera cop.
Sorry.
So the answer to this has to be that Snyder's in on it. And whatever Snyder's in on is going to explain all this. They're going to whisk them away to like an underground bunker where there's super soldiers that have UV bullets and silver shurikens and stuff like that. It's going to be this awesome fucking underworld of Buffy's going to kick into play now. Something happens. No, like she can't just go to jail. We've already done that. Like if she just goes...
shot, you think? Dead? End of the show?
Yeah, no. She makes it, she had a gun. She shoots her, whatever.
Sprinkle some crack on
her. Yeah. No. But like, okay, if she just goes to jail, like if the next thing opens up with her like being questioned again, like
with that sound of like the doors closing.
That would be awesome. It's like it's 2 months later. And you're like, what the fuck's happening? And Giles is just no. Like if it just opens up.
Has changed, Buffy.
If it just opens up, fucking Xander has like a metal arm to replace his useless.
No, it's a wooden arm and it's a point.
Oh, and just uses it. It's like post-apocalypse somehow. No, like if she's just being questioned again, that's just the John Ritter episode again. We've already seen that. We already know what happens, right? So something else must happen. I don't know what's going to happen. That's either not a real cop, or if it is a real cop, it has something to do with Snyder talking to the cops all the time and some shit happening with something being in on something. It has to be something. If it's nothing, I'll be very disappointed. So hopefully they fucking do something. But yes, obviously Buffy will have to go save the day. What happens with Xander and Willow? Are they still in the library? Like where'd they go? I forgot.
Well, no one took them away as far as I remember.
Right, they just haul off Giles, right?
Yeah, they took Giles. Willow's still under the bookcase. Xander might have ran after Cordelia.
Oh yeah, Cordelia.
But I can't recall.
I believe so. He shouts at like her to run. Like
Yeah.
like I remember the shot of like Drew walking out with like her vampire posse and then Giles dragged and stuff. So I know like they only took Giles, but
Yeah.
yes. I don't know how they're gonna. It's the worst case scenario. Someone says like, "You don't understand. It was the famous killer that you just some stupid." And they go, "Oh, okay, it's fine. Nothing happens." Like fuck.
But yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of it. Like maybe they'll explain it, maybe not. Maybe it's like how they get that giant box in a room anyway when it's bigger than doorways. Who's to say? There are things we don't have to explain.
The monolith, the
Yeah.
fucking thing. Huh. The same way, it's the same thing as every. I don't know. It feels very fucking. All right. So my prediction for next episode: the vortex gets open and sucks the entire world into it, and we're all. That's where we live now. That explains everything.
There could be a fun twist there of like the whole world getting sucked into hell, and the next season just the normal town people doing things normally, but there's even more hellmouth.
Yeah. It's like there's actually 7 levels. We have to keep going. We were already on 3. Now we're just on 4. It's barely different.
Better vending machine on 3. All right, guys, that's pretty much everything that happened in this episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next week for the season finale of season 2.
Hello, internets. I just love watching JustDaggers. If you've enjoyed this video as much as I have, click that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.